Hello, welcome. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Delia Yeager, and today we're going to be talking about a wonderful gauge, a great tool that you can use to find out where your focus is, where your energy is. So, this tool is called a circle and a dot, and it is as simple as it sounds. Picture a circle with a dot in the center. Now, the way we navigate the best, the way we operate the best is when the dot is in the center of the circle. And when the dot is in the center of the circle, you are in your space, your energy is where it belongs, which is squarely inside you. And you're allowing other people the space to be themselves, and you're allowing yourself and them to be different and to operate independently of each other. When your dot is in the center of your circle, you have access to your information, what's true for you. And this is the way that we're designed to operate as spirit, as infinite being, within the context of yourself, with a capital S. So there is a space. When you're talking about energy, it can be tricky because it's not necessarily in physical terms, and bodies understand physical terms because bodies live in the physical world. So anyway, there is a space where you, the spirit, are meant to reside within the body that gives you the truest perspective from you as spirit. Pardon me. And when you're centered in this way, you're able to access all the information that your system is getting from vibrations and emotions, your emotions, other people's emotions, the atmosphere, the literal atmosphere. Since our bodies are really incredibly well developed and sophisticated sensing devices, that's what they're supposed to do, is sense the environment, right? So the body is always taking all this information in, and if you're not centered properly, you can fall into like your emotions, or you can fall into a feeling, and then you see everything through the filter of that emotion or of that feeling. So with the operating systems that are going on the cultural scale right now, a lot of us, especially clairsentient people or sensitive people or empathic people, tend to operate through the second chakra, emotions. And you're this kind of person when you're the kind of person who walks into a room and knows the emotional state of everybody in there before anybody opens their mouth. And it's like a survival tool to be able to sense other people's emotions. This was really useful growing up in a house with volatile parents or chaotic situations or uncertainty or mental instability or emotional instability on behalf on the side of one of the parents. So there's lots and lots of times when developing how to navigate the world through the second chakra survival mechanism made a lot of sense. And that's just as an aside. Let me just let you know right off the bat that whatever your operating systems, whatever you do, they may or may not be serving you today, But I guarantee when you initiated, when you created that response to situations, it was pure genius to something. It was a perfect response to something. The fact that it doesn't work for you anymore just means it's time to make a different choice. But the more you go forward with the assumption that it was brilliance on your part instead of an inadequacy on your part, the better off you're going to be, because it was always brilliance. It was always genius. So when you are navigating through the second chakra and through emotions and survival, you're always having your feelers out, and you can experience a lot of overwhelm. You can feel emotionally overwhelmed. You can have too many thoughts in your head. Your neck and shoulders may be chronically upset. Your stomach may be chronically upset. You may have trouble with your digestion and your elimination processes. You may have aches and pains. You may have headaches. You may have migraines. So all of these physical examples, all of these physical symptoms are your body in its wisdom trying to tell you something is not balanced, something is going wrong. And by wrong, I mean it doesn't work for you, right? So if you are trying to navigate as an adult with the same navigational tools and systems that you used in childhood, that's really not going to work for you, because the premise when you were 8 was that you didn't have the authority to make up your mind or make your own choices or, challenge anybody. And when you're 8, that's probably true. But you're not 8 anymore. And so when you find yourself in that defensive kind of fight, chip on your shoulder kind of space, usually it's because you're not in present time. You're reacting to a situation today. It's something about the situation today is resonating to something that happened when you were 8. And the conclusions, decisions, assumptions you made when you were 8 were that you didn't have the authority, you didn't have the right, and you couldn't say no, or to something to that effect. And so you got that chip on your shoulder. So that's fine, but it doesn't work for you anymore. So the way we use this tool of the circle and the dot is it's a way to it's a tool for you to start to learn where's your energy, what are you focusing on. So if you're in a conversation at work and this is a coworker that is it's not a coworker, sorry, this is your supervisor at work, and you're finding yourself being, feeling reactive and contentious, and the supervisor doesn't understand, or I think probably the most favorite is this supervisor is a fool, and you're feeling particularly edgy, that would be a really great time to use this tool. So just imagine, just put up like on the mental screen out in front of you, the circle and the dot, and ask the dot to show you where is your energy. And yes, the ideal is to have the dot be in the center, but if you're particularly agitated and engaged with another person, chances are your dot is either on the outer edge of your circle or it has left your circle and is trying to go over to that other person to get them to understand you. So this is very ineffective. In fact, it causes more of the exact problem that you're trying to avoid, because when you leave your space and go out into somebody else's space, then they're going to be aggravated. because nobody likes it when somebody else is in their space. Um, it doesn't matter how much you care for each other. It's like your body, your energy field, because you have your physical body and you have your energy bodies. Your space is calibrated specifically to the vibration of you, the spirit. And so nothing feels as good to the cells and the molecules of your system as your energy, the energy of you, the spirit. And anybody else's energy, any energy that is not yours is going to feel like a drain or a drag, or it's going to feel like gas, sugar in the gas tank, rough and irritating and irritable and frustrating, because other people's energy in your space is not what your space is designed for. So when you're using the dot and the circle, the way you're using it is not to get to the right answer, which is having your dot in the center, but for you to start to learn how you go out of yourself, or how you work with the energy of the situation. So if you had learned how to navigate by your second chakra, by emotions, by sensing other people's emotions, then you have learned how to like pop your dot out of your circle and into somebody else's and then come back. And it seems like, a pretty good way to navigate. But that kind of pinging to see what's going on, really, when you kind of peel away the rationales for it, what's really going on is you're pinging others to find out if you're okay. Because as a kid, we needed other people to make us okay, to feed us and house us and all that stuff. And so it's fine that that's a technique that you learned how to do. It's not about judging anything, but it is about, does this work for you anymore? And chances are it's not working for you. So if you've ever been, if you've ever had a first day of a job, right? Think back to the old days when you were a kid and college or high school, and you had a job, you got your new job, and you were in training. And by lunchtime, the first day, you couldn't even remember your name anymore, right? You know that feeling when somebody's teaching you something and your head just gets so full? Well, part of what's happening in that situation is that someone is trying to give your head, dump all of their stuff out of their head and into your head. And chances are they're not so much waiting for how much you're understanding as they're ticking things off their list of things that they're supposed to tell you. So you're kind of dumping this information in your head, and they're kind of checking around to see if you're getting it. So using the dot and the circle analogy, their dot is in the center of your circle, right? And you can't remember your name because somebody else's energy is in your head, right? Yeah, see, it's very frustrating, and it's agitating for the body when somebody else's energy is in your head. So you can just let their energy go back to them, right? And call your energy back to you, and you'll notice that your body starts to feel better again. Yeah. So nothing feels as good in your space as your energy. And from the empath's point of view, side of the street, it can seem like oh, well, me going and over there is to check and make sure they're okay. It's my compassion, it's my empathy, it's my kindness towards them. But then the recipient of this energy may not experience it that way. And so it's important that you start to understand as an empath that tapping into other people, even if you think it's to find out if they're okay, a lot of times it's to make you feel better. And it never feels good to somebody else. So using the circle and the dot gauge can help you to start just have the idea. The more you have the idea of bringing your energy back to you and being in the center of your space, the cleaner all of your communications are going to be. Because when you are in the center of your space, when your dot is in the center of your circle, then you're allowing other people to have their point of view and to have their voice and to have their dot be in the center of their circle. And then what they're saying is what's true for them, and what you're saying is what's true for you. And then you're having real connection and real conversation because you're both being your real self. So the more you use the dot and the circle gauge, the more you start to understand and see the trends and the habits where you leave you and go out into other people's spaces. You go out into, wanting to find out if you're okay because, how they are is a measure of how okay you are. And it also introduces a notion that the place where you're okay is in the center of you, with you, being on your side, being in your space, because that's the only place you can find real security and real safety. Whenever you have your well-being situated outside of you, you're always going to be not secure because you have arranged it that your security lives outside of you. That is a very precarious place to be. If you're operating under the notion that if you are loved, you're okay, or if you have a job, you're okay, or if you have money in the bank, you're okay, then your okayness is always outside of your hands. You have to get people to like you. You have to get the people who hired you to like you. And you have to do whatever it takes to get the money into the bank account so you can be safe. So, yeah, that's a nerve-wracking way of going about things. So instead, when you have the dot in the center of your circle, then you get to contribute what it is that you are here to contribute, which is stuff that you like. You like what you like for a reason. It's the cosmic breadcrumbs that you, the spirit, laid out for your body personality to follow to do the things that you chose to come here to do. And the more that you are doing what you like and what makes sense to you and what comes easily to you, and the more you're developing that unique voice in the world, then the people who like your unique voice can find you, and your real tribe can show up instead of trying to fit into a tribe just because it's better than being alone, or because there's an underlying fear that if you're not fitting in, you're cast out. So, using the dot and the circle helps you to start to see how you're navigating either by other people's emotions or if where you're putting your well being outside of your providence, outside of your domain. And it can help you to start the practice of occupying you and bringing yourself back to your center, whatever that means. You know how to do all this, but it's good for your consciousness to start wanting to do this. As a infinite being, you know how to do this, but the more your body personality gets on board with wanting to be home with you, the spirit, to be in the body, to appreciate your fantastic body for all the amazing things that it does. I mean, it eats, it digests food, it walks, it talks, it poops, it transforms energy. It's just amazing, all the things that your body does all the time. So, using the circle and the dot, what happens is, say you're putting up the circle and the dot gauge and you're noticing at work that your dot is out of your circle. And just having that awareness, you can just call yourself, return all your energy to me. Sorry, I said that wrong, but just call all of your energy back to yourself and call all of you back to you and release anything that no longer serves you and release anything that doesn't belong to you. Return to sender with consciousness and calling you back to you. So you're bringing the dot back to the center of the circle, as well as clearing out anything that you had put in to the circle to hold your space while you were gone. And the more you have the concept of coming home to you and noticing what that does for you. I mean, just try this. I really like, try this at home experiments. So, for the next few days or hours, try this circle and dot gauge. And when you're in a conversation with somebody and you find yourself getting irritated or agitated, just put up the circle and the dot gauge and then notice where the dot is and just call all of your energy back to you and send anybody else's energy back to them. And it happens very fast because energy is not tied to time and space the way bodies are. And so you can feel much better really, really soon, really fast, faster than we've been told. The body has so much more awareness and intelligence and self-healing capacities than we've been allowed to believe. And the more you can follow the energy and listen to what your body's telling you, instead of being annoyed that it's communicating with you, the more you can live in the center of you and have that security and have that certainty, that confidence, because you have got your back. So here's today's tool is the circle and the dot, which I hope you have a lot of fun using. And please leave comments. I'd love to hear your experiences of calling all of your energy back to you and sending anybody else's energy back to them. All right. So happy Thanksgiving weekend, and I will see you later. Thanks for watching. Bye.